miles, got a cone.
Pontifex
Got the
protects.
second one. I got the second one on the nose right now. Hey, I'm high cover on you. Get a fox, get a lock him up. Lock.
On paper, the task is simple. Destroy the enemy.
Box one. Oh, Jesus.
In reality, there is nothing more complicated. A struggle of existence, living or dying.
Quality, Justice.
A process impossible to even explain.
Fourth side, high, I'm coming down hard.
One of the few acts we do that can only truly be experienced through action. And today, you have answered the call to action. Let's win this war. The plan against the Holy Order was simple. I knew they had a massive fleet waiting in Second Contact Flashpoint 2. In order to have victory, this fleet would need to be dealt with. I would send in a small group of frigates filled to the brim with friend or foe mines into Second Contact, and have them lay a vast minefield outside of the northern jump gate. This would allow for the combined forces of the First and the Second Fleet to enter the system to an area of operation that would be favorable to Gone forces. While the mines would be almost useless against Holy Order shielded large ships, they would be devastating to small and medium vessels. This would hopefully even the playing field, allowing for the First Fleet and its 12 capital behemoths to quickly knock out the enemy large ships without having to worry about being overwhelmed by Holy Order frigates or gunboats. At least, that was the hope. The Holy Order took the bait, and quickly charged my forces near the gate. They would not allow the offense of my forces entering their territory. However, in their boldness, they were quickly caught off guard, not only by the minefield, but also by the fact my fleets were joined by an Argon war fleet as well. The mines did what they were designed to do, and began causing devastation within the Holy Order fighter wings. My behemoth capital ships wasted no time concentrating fire onto the Holy Order cruisers. My forces stayed concentrated, and did not allow the firing lines to break. The Holy Order broke upon the Gone lines like a swarm of flies upon a windshield. The non-stop barraging from the First, Second, Mines, and Argon forces were too much for even this great Holy Order fleet. And soon, nothing but rubble and debris remained of the once feared armada of the Holy Order of Pontifex. My plan was not over. This was just phase 1. I regrouped my fleet and began scouting my next target. While I did this, the Argon War fleet pushed out into Second Contact 2, pulling any remaining wings of Holy Order attack groups towards them. This worked to my advantage. The next phase of my plan was to cripple the Holy Order's ability to get a foothold near the northern gate. This would be done by destroying the Holy Order stations in the northern regions of Second Contact. I had seen these stations used as rally points for Holy Order fleets. Knocking them out of commission would not only take away staging areas for the Holy Order, but disrupt their production as well. My first fleet was used as long-range artillery, firing from a distance at the stations. Second fleet would be placed on standby nearby to counter any Holy Order forces or drones that tried to reach my behemoth firing line. I continued this strategy after the first station's destruction and moved on to the second Holy Order station, even allowing a few wings of fighters from 2nd Fleet to help take on the station after my behemoths took out any defenses. A small QRF of 2 large Holy Order destroyers tried to move in to support the station. However, the Sword of Damocles and the rest of 2nd Fleet made light work of their attempt. The Holy Order stations in the area were falling, one after the other. With 2 stations down, I pushed my 1st fleet towards a 3rd. The 2nd Fleet fighters had suffered, however. They had already lost 19 fighters to the Holy Order forces or drones. So a group of 25 Dawn fighters were called in to reinforce and to supplement the 2nd Fleet's losses. With the 3rd Holy Order station now a smoldering husk of its former self, the 2nd phase ended. The northern part of the 2nd contact had been secured, making it very difficult for the Holy Order to establish themselves near the northern gate. The 3rd phase was to help the Antigone, not by fighting in Antigone's systems, but to push to the midwest of this sector. The Holy Order had a congregation of stations and defense platforms strategically placed here. These stations and defense platforms sat near the highway to the Antigone territory, essentially barricading them into their own turf. These stations would need to fall in order to free the Antigone and allow them to enter 2nd Contact 2 in support. This phase would be tough, but things became even tougher as I pushed my fleet west. The Holy Order of Pontifex had sent in a reinforcing fleet from the south, and it was currently using the defense platforms as a gathering point. Things then went from bad to worse. As I ordered my 1st fleet to set up a firing line, a group of 3 behemoths overshot the rendezvous point, landing within range of the Holy Order fleet and defense station batteries. Worst part of it, I was on that 3rd behemoth ship. The situation was critical. With my 2 wingmen destroyed, I tried to pull my ship out of range of the incoming fire. As I headed north, however, the Holy Order fleet followed. Luckily, the rest of the 1st Fleet and the 2nd Fleet were there to support. It was complete, utter madness. No firing lines, no formations, just sheer plasma and laser-filled chaos. And right as I was trying to reconsolidate my fleet, the behemoth capital ship I was on went critical. By some miracle, I found myself floating in space. I had successfully jettisoned from the ship before it exploded, but now I found myself in the middle of a fully fledged war in nothing but a spacesuit. I had to get to a friendly ship. A single shot from anything would turn me into space dust. I need an exfil immediately. Does anyone copy?
This is the Dawn Behemoth class Harmonia. I read you loud and clear.
I am locked into your gravitational well. Keep me covered as I approach.
Good copy.
Requesting entry to Bay Door 13. Get me out of this.
Request granted. I advise haste. We have H.O.P fighters inbound.
Come on. Once inside, I quickly got my bearing and assessed the situation. Despite the heavy losses, my forces had managed to create a pocket of support for one another within the battle. From there, it was only a matter of re-establishing some sort of concentrated fire and reconsolidating my scattered ships. After the battle, I could not allow my forces to lose their momentum. I feared another Holy Order fleet would arrive, preventing us from destroying the Holy Order defense platforms, barring the Antigone from freely leaving their systems. But I had to be cautious, so I moved my forces in, slowly and methodically. I focused in and destroyed each and every gun platform on the defense stations, before allowing the rest of my forces to engage. I had lost 1/4 of my fleet in just a matter of a few minutes. I could not be overzealous in my assault. Finally, some good news. After the defense platform and a station near the highway fell, I was surprised to see Antigone battleships helping my forces as I pushed onto another defense platform to the south. The Argon, and now the Antigone, had wasted no time joining in on the assault against the Holy Order. For too long they had been beaten down, exploited, and assaulted. And with their fiery zeal and help, the defense platform began to crumble under our joint attack. Suddenly, disaster. The sword of Damocles flew too close and began getting bombarded by the defense platform's plasma turrets. I ordered it to evacuate the area, but for some reason, it decided to pause and recall its fighters while still in bombardment range. I watched as the hull entered critical low status, and I knew I would have to step in before it was too late. I quickly teleported to the Sword of Damocles and rushed to the bridge. Taking command of the ship, I then drastically dove the ship, watching as the ship's hull dropped further and further. The Sword of Damocles was as good as dead, but still I dove, praying. The Maker had smiled upon us, so the Sword of Damocles escaped with a sliver of health, and I wish I was exaggerating. One more plasma bolt would have leveled the Raptor. The Raptor is an incredibly powerful ship, but it was not made to resist that kind of firepower. The Second Fleet was issued a full retreat order back to Argon Prime. It was useless in its current state, and since I did not have an extra large shipyard, the Sword of Damocles was sent to an Argon extra large ship wharf for full repairs. I could not afford to lose that ship. Phase 4 would have been to take out the remaining Holy Order stations to the south near their southern jump gate. However, after attempting to do so with the First Fleet with no fighter support from the Second, I soon came to realize this would only lead to more unnecessary losses. The First Fleet was ordered home for repairs. With the Argon and the Antigone forces flooding Second Contact 2, I was not overly worried about the Holy Order recapturing the system. The Argon were already busily constructing defense platforms, and Allied ships freely moved throughout the system. Outside of a couple of stations near the southern gate, we had pushed the Holy Order of Pontifex completely out of the system. Despite our losses, today had been a day of victory. Thank you for watching. This was a huge victory, not just for Gon Industries, but for the Argon and the Antigone. We had pushed the Holy Order of Pontifex all the way back to their gate. The system, Second Contact 2, was essentially liberated now. Both Second and First Fleet were able to make it back to Argon Prime, and both fleets began immediately repairs and resupply. The border gate was also finally completed, the ultimate defense from anything entering into Argon Prime, at least from the south. I'm yet to name it, so if you have any suggestions, let me know in the comments section. I'm curious to see what you guys have. Also, for those who watched my last stream, I finally found that cursed cock nest in the Reach. It was clear to the south in the middle of nowhere. I was able to make quick work of it with a detachment of 4 Behemoth class ships from First Fleet as well as the Expeditionary Fleet. Some of you may have also noticed a little P pop up on my YouTube dashboard. Well, surprise, I set up a Patreon. I know it's annoying and I honestly feel like I'm panhandling here, but every little bit helps. YouTube is for sure not paying the bills, and life for me is about to get really crazy with a new kid due next month, so I'm gonna get really busy here soon. If you like what I do and want to support, you can do so with as much as essentially as what it would cost you to buy me a cup of hot cocoa. This allows me to keep throwing YouTube videos around. You would also get some pretty neat benefits like getting a ship in the game and naming it. If not, I'm honestly just grateful you guys stayed around and watched. And by the way, thank you to Gone Fighter Pilot Dulcina for being my first Patreon. The fighter, the Romulus, survived and is now an official veteran of this epic battle. Linking, subbing, sharing, commenting, and all that jazz helps butter up YouTube's algorithm. A happy algorithm means a good day for this video. I appreciate everything you guys do. I really do. And come say hello on the Discord if you haven't already. That's going to be in a link down below in the description as well. And remember, everyone, in the end, we are all human. Share, care, and bear one another. Thank you again. Peace.